All right, today we are reviewing for Chapter 5 test. This will be sections 5.1 through 5.7. Your first section on your test is finding the sum or difference of fractions. These are numbers only, all right? We need to make sure we have an LCD, convert mixed numbers to improper fractions. We need to follow those steps. Showing your work is extremely important on these types of problems because your work is your proof that you actually, did not just punch in the numbers into your calculator to solve. So we need to see work here. Go ahead and solve these two problems. So we changed the mixed number to an improper fraction. And then we have to find the LCD. What is our LCD? What is it? 15. I thought you said 18. Okay, so we change it to negative 11 over 3. 3 times 3 plus 2. And negative 28 over 5. And then, yes, my LCD is 15. And I bring down my signs. Now, 3 times what gives me 15? 5. So 11 times 5 is 55. Creating equivalent fractions here. 5 times what is 15? 3. So 28 times 3 is 84. So now we're to this step. And on the quiz, I saw many students get to this step. And then they would subtract the numbers from each other. All right, now while there is a subtraction sign there, we know that we have to follow our rules for integers, and integers say, same sign, I add and keep. Both are negative, so I would add the numbers together and keep the negative. And then another common mistake that I saw was forgetting to change to a mixed number at the end, okay? So just those common errors, guys, are going to cost you on your test. All right, so make sure you follow those steps. Now, you do have one question on your test that has 3 terms in it. There is no difference in solving, though. I still need an LCD. What would be my LCD? 21. So I create my LCD of 21. I need to change to an improper fraction, the third one. All right, so it becomes negative 17 over 7. Now I need to convert each of my fractions. So what would I multiply the first fraction by, top and bottom? 3, top and bottom, so it's 15. Okay, and then 16 stays the same, and then I multiply the last one by 3 also to get negative 51. Did you get that? Okay, now what do I do? What is 15 plus 16 minus 51? Negative 20. That's fine. Negative 20 over 21. Is this my final answer?
Yes.
It can't be reduced. It can't be changed to a mixed number. That's my final answer. Okay, just because it's red, I could have written the answer before that, and then you reduce, and it's still red. Okay? So, yes, it's negative 20 over 21. All right, so that's finding the sum or difference. You have 4 questions like that on your test tomorrow.
How many questions is on?
20. Okay? Then you have 4 questions like this. Simplify the expression. When you're adding and subtracting, you still need an LCD. That's very important. Okay? So let's find our LCD. If you need to do some conversion, go ahead and do that. And then we simplify the expression. There won't be an exact answer because we don't know what the variable equals. Okay, what's my LCD for the first one?
18.
It's 18. Okay, so I need to multiply the first fraction, top and bottom, by what?
2.
Yes, by 2. So I get 4x over 18 plus 15x over 18. Now that I have common denominators, I can add my numerators together. So here's my question. Is this going to be 19x or 19x squared?
19x. Squared.
So when I'm adding expressions, when I'm adding them, I treat these terms like terms. I just add the coefficients. I do not add the exponents. When do I add the exponents? When I'm multiplying. Okay, so you need to keep those two concepts separate. I saw a lot of this on the quiz yesterday. On the flip side, when you're subtracting, I saw people canceling out the variable when you're subtracting. That's not what we're supposed to do. We treat them like terms. when I cancel the variable is when I'm dividing, when I'm doing quotient of powers and I'm reducing. Okay, so 19x over 18 is not my final answer. And not just because it's not in red, right? Okay, what is my final answer? 1 and 1x over 18. I need to change it back to a mixed number. Do I technically need the 1 in front of the x? No, I don't. Did anybody get that right? Who got that right? Okay. All right. Do you see, for those of you who didn't, do you see where you went wrong? Any questions? If you have the question, odds are somebody else has the same question. You have a question? Okay. All right. Next one. Do I have an LCD?
Yes.
Okay, so even though the denominator has a variable, thankfully it's the same variable in all three of them. So all I have to do is combine my my numerators. Negative 8 plus 7 minus 12 is what?
Negative 13.
Negative 13 over 10x. Is that my final answer?
No.
No, because it's improper. So change the number portion to a mixed number. You get negative 1 and 3 over 10x. Why is x in the denominator? Usually it's in the numerator. Why is it in my denominator here in my answer? Because that's my LCD. So in this case, because it was my LCD, that's where I keep my variable. Most of the time it would go in my numerator. All right, so that's simplifying expressions. We're through almost half of the test at this point. Now we need to multiply and divide. We need to find the product or the quotient. The product or the quotient. So go ahead and solve both of these. Again, your work is very, very important on these problems to show me that you actually did the work yourself. So for multiplication, we need to put the whole number over 1, and then we can look to cross-reduce. Negative 10 and 15, make sure you keep the reduced value negative. That reminds you that it's negative. What is negative 2 times negative 4?
Negative 8.
Positive 8. It's two negatives. This is multiplication. All right, so it's going to be positive 8 and then over 3. And then I changed to a mixed number, 2 2/3. Who got 2 2/3? Who just got the sign wrong? Anybody get the sign wrong? Okay, so that would be half credit on your test tomorrow if you get the sign wrong. All right, now division. What do I do first?
Keep the first place.
No, change it to improper.
Change it to improper, and then after it's improper, then what do I do? I heard it. KFC.
Keep the first.
KFC. Keep the first, flip the second, and change the operation. And now I can cross-reduce. Now cross-reduce, and then change to mixed number. Change back to a mixed number. Who got 6 and 16 over 27?
Wasn't done.
Okay. So just remember, change to improper, KFC method, then cross-reduce, then get to your answer. Change to a mixed number if you need to. So go ahead and simplify the expression now. Remember to go by your product of powers properties here. Product meaning multiplication. So since I am multiplying now variables and coefficients, I need to look at their exponents, okay? And deal with those. So cross-reduce where possible, and go ahead and simplify these expressions. So 4b and 10, I can cross-reduce the 4 and the 10 to 2 and 5. So what would be 2, or what would, when you multiply, I'm trying not to say b, the word b, because b is the variable. Anyway, all right. So when you multiply b times 2b, what would you get?
2b squared.
2b squared. Because you multiplied two variables, that's like x times x is x squared. Okay? So 2b squared. Did you remember that?
No.
All right. Over 35. So that's something that's very common that I see as a mistake. That you forget when you're multiplying variables that are the same variable, you must add their exponents, even if you don't see the exponent. There's still an understood one. Okay, now on the next one, we can do a lot of cross reducing, can't we? We can cross reduce all of these numbers, and now, but remember to keep those negatives. What is negative 2 times 3 in my numerator? It's going to be negative 6. C to the 3rd times C to the 7th. C to the 10th. Over 5 times 1, which is 5. Is this my final answer? No. Go ahead and make your answer, your final answer, if you haven't already. All right, did you get negative 1 and 1c to the 10th over 5? Yes. Now, do you need the 1 in front of the c? No, you could just say c to the 10th over 5. All right, who got that right? Mostly. Okay, good. All right, simplify the expression. Now we need to go to the next slide, which is solve the equation using the reciprocal. So this is a two-step equation. Yesterday on the quiz, I saw a few mistakes on this one, so I want to make sure I reviewed it. You will see it on your test tomorrow also. What do you do first as you're writing it down? What would you do first? Do you need to... Okay, so here, two-step equations, guys. You must move everything that is not connected to the variable first. Before you do reciprocal, before you solve for x, you have to move what's not connected to the variable first. So what would I do? Add 8 to both sides. Okay, so now rewrite your equation and solve for x. Add 8 to both sides, so we get negative 2 fifths x equals 4, positive 4. Now what do I do to both sides? What do I do? You multiply by the reciprocal, negative 5 over 2. 5 over negative 2 doesn't matter. Okay, so multiply 4 by the same thing. So you get
Negative 10.
negative 10. Okay, 10 over negative 1, which is the same thing as negative 10. X equals. I saw some answers yesterday that they would say negative 10x. And I'm like, wait, what just happened here? We're solving for x. It should be x equals negative 10. So several people make that mistake, so don't do that. All right, we have a clearing decimals problem on our test tomorrow. Clearing decimals.
How many do we have?
At least 1, maybe 2. All right, go ahead and clear the decimals and solve for W. Needed to multiply by 10 to clear the decimals. Now, if you multiplied by 100, as long as you multiplied everything by 100, that's 1 decimal place too much, but you should still end up with the right answer. You get 400 equals 82W minus 315. Add 315 to both sides and divide by 82. Did you get approximately 8.72? Yeah, 8.71, and then it's like a bunch of decimals. Now, on your test tomorrow, your answer will come out more evenly. I just made this one up, so it didn't come out to be a terminating decimal, but something in that range would have been correct. 8.71, that would have been fine too. All right, let's clear the fraction now. Clear the fraction using what? Clear the fraction using what? Nope, not reciprocals. LCD. Clear the fraction using the LCD. Don't create equivalent fractions, clear them. Clear the fraction using LCD. What is the LCD? What is the LCD? It is, wait, what? 24. It's not 12 because 8 does not go into 12. The LCD is 24. If you were to say the LCD was 48, your fractions would still be cleared, but your numbers are going to be a little larger. You should still get to the correct answer. So when you cross-reduce each one of these, that value is what's multiplied by the old numerator. So 8 and 24 cross-reduce to 3, so 3 times 3 is what? 9. And minus 12 and 24 reduces to 2, so negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. Equals 6 and 24 reduced to 4, and 7 times 4 is 28. Who got that equation once you cleared? All right, now I solve this like a two-step equation. What do I do first? Add 2 to both sides. Divide by 9. And guys, you have to reduce. And your answer, why is my answer in fraction format?
Yay.
Why not a decimal? Because it started as a fraction. So many people, and I say so many people, a lot to me is 10. Okay, that's about 10% of my students. That's too high of a percentage. That is something very simple. If your problem starts as a fraction, your answer should be a fraction. If it starts as a decimal, your answer should be a decimal. All right, so I don't want to see any of those types of errors on your test tomorrow. All right, so we have one more problem to cover, and that is a word problem format. All right, it has to do with one of the operations of fractions, either multiplying, dividing, adding, or subtracting. In a town survey, residents were asked if they would approve a proposal to build an aquatic center for $500,000. 1,200 residents participated in the survey, and 3/7 were in favor. How many residents were in favor and how many opposed? I want you to try to start working this out on your own, figure out what information is necessary to solve, and then we'll go through it in just a minute. All right, did anybody find how many were in favor? Does anybody have any idea how we do this? Brittany, what do you think?
I think you multiply. You don't need the 500,000.
Nope.
That can be gone. You
Yeah,
multiply
you're right.
1,200 over 1
Yep,
times 3/7.
yep, that's exactly what you do. 1,200 over 1 times 3/7. Go ahead and do that. And I want you to round down, okay? Obviously, if I say 54.5 people, obviously you can't have half a person, so that would just be 54, okay? So I want you to now do that multiplication, change it back to a mixed number so you can figure out how many people would have been in favor. Use that number to figure out how many people were opposed. All right, so when I multiply 3,600 over 7, and I get 514.
Yes.
Okay, I rounded down, 514. So if 514 people were in favor, how would I figure out how many are opposed? Subtract it from 1,200. So now 1,200 minus 514 equals how much?
686.
Opposed. Okay, 686 opposed, 514 were in favor. All right, you think you'll get that one right on your test tomorrow? Okay, so multiplying a total by the fraction to figure out how many were in favor, and then subtracting it from the total to figure out how many were opposed. Do you understand that?
So that's all you need to know for chapter 5 test.
Very good. Chapter 5 test.
Chapter 5 test.